What happens in life when a sudden curveball is thrown your way? It's something you didn't plan for. In fact, it may not even be something you wanted. But now you're in a position where your life feels like it's disrupted. Maybe it was a diagnosis, an unexpected divorce, burnout, becoming a caregiver, grief, or realizing the version of your life you worked so hard for no longer fits who you are today. Here's the truth no one wants to talk about. Some of the strongest women you know are quietly having to either rebuild their life or navigate through unexpected life changes. And if that's you, this episode is exactly what you need to listen to today, because you're not alone and there are others going through something similar just like you. So today we're going to be having a conversation about rebuilding and navigating through the unexpected. Welcome back to the Life Over 40 podcast. This is the podcast for women that are navigating reinvention, resilience, and rebuilding in midlife, regardless if we're talking about emotionally, financially, or physically. And today's conversation is a deep and important one because disruptions in your midlife journey are almost expected, and they're more common than some people actually realize. It can be from unexpected health discoveries or just other changes inside of our lives. And what you find is that these disruptions don't just impact our body, they can affect how we view ourselves and our identity, your confidence, and your sense of stability. And for some of you, just how you view your future. Today's guest is Bron Watson, and she understands this firsthand. Bron is a registered nurse, educator, business owner, and a cancer slayer who's walked through some major life changes and disruptions that have put her in a place of realizing that she had to rebuild her life to be able to live fully and have joy. And today we're going to be talking about what it takes to rebuild after everything seems like it's falling apart. I know you're going to enjoy this conversation, so let's get into this week's episode. So I am super excited about today's conversation because I know for a fact that this audience is going to truly feel inspired by just the shares and learning more about you and how you've been able to be resilient through this time period. So I would love for you to share, like, what's that one moment that you feel as if has changed your life and your perspective on how to be resilient?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to have this conversation actually. So, the pivoting moment, let's just give some context here. So, I have had a dual career for a very long time in marketing and in nursing. So I'm a registered nurse educator, but I've had this dual career. So I started my own business back in 2012 because I had had my 40th birthday with babe on hip going, surely there's more to life. So I started this business. I got myself a mentor. I did what everybody else did online, which is to grow these online businesses. And the best way for me to liken it is I like calling it a saber-toothed tiger, right? So I get this little cat. That's my new business, right? Oh, this cute little cat. Oh, my goodness, you're so cute. And when you're feeding and looking after the cat, right, AKA business, it's taking a lot of time. And I'm going, oh, my gosh, you're growing. Oh, my gosh. And before I knew it, I had built a business model and a business that was doing really well. But I'm on this saber-toothed tiger holding on for dear life. Because I had built a business that wasn't in alignment with me. And I didn't know it, although I was having a lot of messages come through. So fast forward to 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Diagnosis on a Thursday, 6 days later on the operating table, having a mastectomy. No time to process, big mastermind, retreats, workshops, doing all the things that you think that are what successful people do. And it was great until it wasn't. And the defining moment came. And I didn't know about the saber-toothed tiger. Well, I knew about saber-toothed tigers, but I didn't realize what it was doing to me until after my second chemotherapy. And it was full on. Breast cancer treatment, any treatment is full on. 4 hours after treatment, here I am on a Facebook Live into my members' Facebook group delivering because I had promised that I was going to deliver. And I wore it like a badge of honor. I will deliver because that's what Bron does. She does exactly what she says she's going to do. And I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I am bright red. I'm so red because of the treatment, which is part of the side effects. I've already lost my hair. And I looked at myself and I said, do you want to die? Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you are going to die. I'm a mother of 5 children. I'm 48, and I literally had enough understanding, even though I'd done all the work. I literally shut that whole top end of my business down overnight. Gone. No plan B, because I was taught you don't have plan Bs because then you won't commit to plan A. So I didn't have a plan B, and having to evolve when you need to look after your kids, when you need financial, you've got school fees, you've got life. But that defining moment was when I finally started to listen to what my body had been telling for years. I knew intuitively, but I never listened. So that was my pivot, and I hate that word. So 2019.
I feel like that
But
2019 to 2021, that it was like
oh,
ran over back
please.
and forth.
And, we're going to leave it there, to be honest.
Yes.
But it was a moment in time. It's a defining moment when it was the very first time. And it took a tragedy and trauma for me to finally look at myself in the eyes, because who was this strange person in the mirror? Who is that person? I don't know that person. And then I thought, my God, it's me. I looked myself in the eye and I talked to myself and I listened.
I think that is beautiful, and I just want to say first and foremost, I applaud you for being vulnerable to share that, because I don't think that a lot of people take the time to actually be present to the decision of, am I doing something that's going to end up ending, like leaving me in a position that's something
Yeah.
and then so they will keep pushing through and not understand that I feel like, would you say, we kind of almost feel like you're in a fork in the road of like, I have to make a decision, and you made the step for you and your family.
Yeah. I felt at that time that there was no decision because I had ignored myself for too long.
Yeah.
So this is where we talk about relentlessness
Mm-hmm.
and resilience. I was being relentless because I was listening to the experts,
Yes.
and I loved my mentors. It's not my mentors that I'm talking about here, because I'm responsible for my behavior. I listened
Yeah.
to experts, not those people, but in general, thinking about the internet, right? Thinking about what's online on socials. And I was listening and going, well, that's what you do, isn't it? And I didn't know any different. So that's the hard part.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to myself when my body and my intuition and my gut said, Bron, this is not right for you. But I did it anyway. And that's where the relentless comes in. And yeah, I'll explain what I mean by resilient and relentless in a little bit, but it's just got to do it's just, yeah.
It's
that-
right.
you don't want such a tragedy. You don't want something
Yeah,
so
no.
big. You'd rather sort of like a little shock.
And to be very honest, I have been in that position of feeling that for probably the last, I would say, since October. Like before we got on this recording, I had
Wow.
said that I was sharing that I had been babysitting, and I had
Yeah.
woke up and I was like, I can't choose for my life to be this way. Like it's like you almost this anxiousness. Like I felt that the things that would actually keep me inspired now felt like a burden. The things that were giving me joy or refilling my cup, I didn't even have the energy to even do that. And so once I got clear about the things I needed to change, and some of that was even saying no to things that I actually wanted to do, so that I
Yeah.
could refill my cup. And I'm glad that you're sharing your story about this, because it may not necessarily be a cancer diagnosis. This can be the fact that
No.
every night you're having to drink something to take the edge off of, and then also take something to sleep, but then also take, like, it might be a sign that there's something
Yeah,
going on.
it is. And it's just that I was so busy
Yeah.
doing what I believed.
Mhm.
And I had this belief
Mhm.
that I was to deliver what I said I was going to deliver. The difference now is I will deliver what I'm going to say that I deliver, but I'm going to deliver it on Bron's timeline. And if Bron isn't right, or Bron's not healthy, or Bron's had a left-hand turn with treatment, that is a priority. So what I call healing. And healing is for, it doesn't have to involve sickness. It doesn't have to
Uh,
involve disease. Healing is literally what you just did. You have just taken a moment in time to go, that dream of mine, it's not right for me.
do you think people take time to actually even dream like that anymore? Even like over 40? Because I feel that sometimes people don't, because there's this negative connotation about over the like, all of the stereotypes that they kind of make when you're over 40. Do you, from the people you've worked with and just conversation and your life experience, do you find that people still allow themselves to dream over 40?
Good question. And of course, because I am over 40, I'm actually over 50.
Mhm.
So I have done my 40s and I'm in my 50s. And I've got a stack of friends who are in their 70s who are still entrepreneurs out there. And what I love is that it is not about gender and is not about age.
Mm,
If there is something in your soul, in your heart, and again, slow down, sit outside for 10 minutes
yeah,
and take the time to listen, because that voice, and if you are busy and noisy, you won't hear it. And whatever's there, go and start doing it, because tomorrow is guaranteed to no one.
very true.
So what I feel is that, especially in your 40s, for me, with a mother of 5 kids, man, and a business
Mm,
and teaching at uni and all the stuff and the things that I did,
mm,
was that there wasn't space there.
mm.
Whereas, interestingly enough, I have not, because what the audience doesn't know is that I've had a second diagnosis of cancer in 2023. So this time round, rather than in the curable lane of breast cancer, I'm now in the incurable lane of multiple myeloma. So I have a blood cancer.
Mm,
And that road never ends,
yeah.
okay, because it's incurable. It doesn't mean they can't treat it,
Mm,
but they can't cure it at this time.
mhm.
So now I've had another hit, okay?
Yeah.
So what that means is that you're gonna love this. You know how in business we talk about setting goals,
Mhm.
writing out the strategy and all the
Yes.
things that we do. I love it, smart goals and all the things,
Mhm.
and they are smart.
Yes.
As long as you got nothing else going on in your life, they're great.
Yeah.
I haven't actually set a goal, right, for
Yeah.
3 years. So this year is the first year, and because I'm a visual,
Yeah.
my goal is, I used to put the business in the middle and then
Mm,
all the different parts of the business out, and then strategy out, going, cool, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, blah, 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 blah.
mhm.
Now, my goal and intention, it's not so much a goal, it's an intention. My intention, which I have put out there, is healing.
I love
So
that.
business-wise, 'cause still run
Yeah.
my own business,
Yeah.
but now healing, and it's Bron healing, right?
Yeah.
I'm the person, Bron is in the middle.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, I run this social coach business, and by the way, I do the Serenity Project, and by the way, I'm writing a book, and by the way, I've got these kids, and I do all the things and a charity work. But the goal and the intention is healing. Because if I don't have healing and I focus on all the doing,
Yeah.
because we are human beings, we are not human doings. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I got the brick thrown through my head. You don't want bricks, people.
No.
You want the feathers, the taps. And if I could encourage anybody who has that calling or that feather tapping away right now and that little flutter, please listen. You are being given a gift. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, I have a whole different way of I call it the
Living.
Serenity Life Map. It's not even business, but
Yeah.
it's a business map.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so what I'm curious about, because you've had these ebbs and flows over the last decade, like what has been your emotional and mental journey to start to actually have such a positive, inspired outlook today, even despite some of the disruptions that have occurred?
Prior to 217, as I said, I was running with my saber-toothed tiger, right? So
Mhm.
we weren't, even though I grew this beast, on the outside, it looked successful, but the cost was huge.
Mm,
So now what I did, because at the time of that collapse of what I was choosing at the end of 217, 218,
mm,
I looked at what I had. What was quality easy? What was in my toolkit that I could leverage without costing my health,
mhm.
and what I could deliver that was going to be valuable. So I'd done some training with this most incredible lady called Jennifer, who had been a part of the she helped run the Barack Obama second social media campaign. So
Okay.
I'd done this year training in social media. So I started to focus on social media. And so in terms of mindset, if I want to cry, I cry, right?
Yeah.
Because one thing I have learnt is we want to feel the feels. Everything I do is based on the serenity prayer. So, but if you haven't heard of the serenity prayer, it's been around for like nearly 100 years, when it's God grant me serenity to
Yeah.
accept what I cannot change, the courage to change the thing I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I spent times like after this second diagnosis, I was sitting outside. I had, again, a week between, here, Bron, you've got incurable blood cancer, to, hey, we're starting chemo next week, and we're going to be having a stem cell transplant and stay in hospital for 4 weeks. How does that feel? Great. Not. And so I literally would look to the skies and believe in whoever you want to believe in, higher purpose, the universe, God, Dennis, whoever it is. I prayed to God to say, please, please show me. And I started to work on my own serenity, because all I had was the moments in time.
Yeah.
And what happens when you get given an incurable disease? They go, Bron, you've got to make memories. Make your own memories. Don't worry about my memories. Like that's one of those, I call it toxic positivity, because we
Yes.
don't know what to say.
Yeah.
All right, but don't be toxic. Don't sort of put it on like, well, my Aunt Mary, she had breast cancer and she's fine. I don't care about Aunt Mary.
Yeah.
I'm not Aunt Mary. So it's really about the ebbs and the flow. Is that I allowed myself to feel the feels. I mean, when I was walking into that hospital to have the stem cell transplant, I literally felt like I was walking into the valley of death, metaphorically and physically.
Yeah.
And it's about, that's where resilience comes in.
Yeah.
That is where the flexibility of resilience. And I'll just quickly explain what I mean when I'm talking about being relentless and being resilient. So in Australia, we have gum trees, right? I'm sure you have big, tall cedars and really strong gum trees.
Yeah.
And they grow straight up and they're enormous. And when the storms come, the branches fall off. In Australia, they call them widow makers, because back in the day when they were harvesting the wood, the branches would fall for no reason and kill people. I mean, a lot of people, right? Because they're called widow makers. They're known as widow makers. So these trees are so strong and so tall, and you think they are so amazing, but they are what I call relentless. You're growing and doing and irrespective of the environment around you. It doesn't work with the environment, because the environment's going to say, hey, here comes the storm. Half the branches are going to get damaged, and then they fall. But then we have a willow tree, and the willow tree grows, but it grows branches out like this.
Yeah.
And they move and sway with the wind and the storms. They don't lose their branches, but they are so, if not more powerful. That's what being resilient's like, that you have everything, or you have what you need already, guys, inside you.
Yeah.
You just got to find it. And that you allow that to guide who you are. So be a willow tree.
Yeah. No, I love that share. And there's a lot that I want to unpack that you just shared too, is the fact allowing yourself to be human. Like, I think that at times, especially now in this day and age of social media, is that we're not allowing ourselves to be authentic, not even with the public, but just even with being behind closed doors about our truth. Like, through this process, for you to would you say that you always were pretty much aligned with that internal authenticity, or were you ever in this space of what they call masking? So that's why, even though you knew that there were certain things up to the first diagnosis, that you could feel that there was some things that you were sacrificing, but you still were pushing through and you were being relentless. Do you feel like you were doing that because of masking and not really acknowledging that you're a human of children? I call these things like, do you feel like there was a breakdown in
Yeah.
that?
There was definitely a breakdown. I masked. I was the queen of masking, because I never stopped long enough to go to look after myself, because I was too busy caring for everyone else. I come out of a career where that is what you do. I care deeply about my patients, my family, and my everything. My clients were my world. I wanted to I wanted to be the best version of me.
Uh-huh.
So I'd show up at what I thought was the best version of me.
Uh-huh.
Whereas now, if I choose to put on a mask, I'll give you an example.
Uh-huh.
When I went into the hospital for the stem cell transplant, I did the best Oscar winning performance you have ever seen. How are you, Bron? I'm great. How could you possibly be great? You've literally got no blood cells. You've got no white cells. You can't be good. And I so focused on playing my role, which was I am going to stay true. I'm going to literally turn in and
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be real on the inside
Uh-huh.
while ever I was in that hospital. That was a conscious decision,
Yeah.
not to show weakness, not to be not vulnerable,
Mm,
but because that was my way of surviving
mm.
something very, very big.
Yeah.
It's a transplant, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
So now what you see is what you get. And good days, bad days, and it's especially because people care and they worry, "Bron, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm great."
Uh,
I'm actually, you know what I say to people? I go, "You know what? I'm absolutely not okay,
Uh-huh.
but I'm absolutely okay," which is great.
Yeah.
They don't know how to handle it, but I really truly believe when you speak your truth, you put it out there. Energy is so important. So when you speak the truth, and even if you don't speak the truth, but don't be what social media is, which is this insanely perfect world.
Yeah. And it's not,
Be
that's not
real.
life. Yeah. That's not real
That
life.
is not life. And
No.
people want this.
Yeah. And the connectivity. And the thing is that I I loved how you shared about just that part of it of like being authentic, but then you also mentioned about the toxic positivity. But I don't
Oh,
think that if if you don't do the first part of acknowledging you're human, that
mm,
if you go into a space that is going to push what how they view whatever you're experiencing, because the reality of it is that they just really don't know. And I think it's just like you almost have to put yourself in a position where um you can't take things personally, because it might not be received well in that moment, but it wasn't intentionally to be hurtful. However, you have
true.
to be grounded in your truth. And I think that sometimes when we, one, aren't allowing ourselves to even be authentic to ourselves, and then we put ourselves into a space where someone is now going to push like that toxic positivity, then it almost is
Yes.
like kindling to keep it going so that you never really acknowledge, like, I really don't feel good right now. And I'm sure that that might have even been a part of your journey at some point as well.
Definitely. I said, "Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine." "No, you're
Uh,
not fine." So when I'm talking to me and my people, what it's about is you want to feel the feels, you want to name it, but not only that, when you're talking to other people, because sometimes I'll give you an example. About 3 weeks ago, I met up with someone who I hadn't seen for probably about 18 months, and she asked me how I was, and I thought, you know what, Bron? You talk about being honest. You're going to tell her, you're going to let her know you've known this woman for years.
mhm,
I'm going to share vulnerably how
mm,
I really am.
mm,
So I did that. And what I got back was, oh, that's no good, Ron. But you know what? I'm going on this holiday with my friends. I'm going to go on a cruise. I'm going to. And I was shocked in the moment because it's like, hang on a minute. I've just been vulnerable here.
and you stepped
And then
over
it's
it.
like, okay, she didn't have capacity. It just
Yeah.
got nothing to do with me.
Yes.
So when it comes to vulnerability and speaking your truth,
Mhm,
please speak your truth for yourself
mhm,
and not for the person in front of you, because expectation, because there's vulnerability and
mhm,
then there's expectation. So if you've got this expectation, then that person go, "Oh my God, Bron, I'm so sorry that, oh, tell me more. I'm really curious. How did that come about?" If you have an expectation, if I have an expectation, I can only talk for myself.
mhm,
If I have that kind of expectation on someone else, I 100% am going to be let down. And what happens then when you have an expectation that is not met?
y
Maybe there's something wrong with me.
yeah,
Maybe I'm not good enough. Bron, what have you done? Versus speaking my truth because I wanted to walk my talk, which was be vulnerable. but with zero expectation because we have no control over what someone thinks, says, and talks to you
Correct.
about
Yeah.
because that comes from where they've come from. So
Yes.
I feel vulnerability is 100% no matter where you are. And it can be said rather than saying, oh my God, I'm struggling really bad. Is I'm really having a bit of a challenge and I'm having some time out.
Yeah.
Same thing, but with a bit of a protective layer, but still speaking the truth. It's better to speak truth.
Yeah.
Please, putting on that toxic show of trying to keep the person in front of you happy, which is
Mhm.
what didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to turn out.
Yeah. But here's the thing is that as I'm listening to you, I almost want to think that vulnerability is aligned with being resilient. Because, like, I even remember
Definitely.
while going through that journey with my mom, we knew that hers was terminal. And at first, I didn't, I kind of was trying to act as if, like, externally, like, not that nothing's going on, but like, trying to not show that every day we were in a hospital or, like, trying to not show, like, the truth of what was actually happening, and I was like, "It's way much more exhausting for me to act as if this isn't going on." And once I started to actually be open about it, and I think what's
Yeah,
important is to understand that with resiliency and being truthful, I think there's a way to do it, because like I feel like sometimes people dump, not knowing that they're dumping. And if sometimes
that's
you
right.
might need to dump, but what I found is that by not masking, it actually strengthened me to go through each day I was going through
I love that. I
because I
love
could
that.
sit right in it.
And when you are speaking your truth, and truth doesn't mean dumping and venting and putting your stuff onto someone else.
Uh-huh.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Vulnerability in speaking your truth is you're speaking your truth for yourself
Yeah.
first. And there's one thing that I realize is that, as a nurse, as a mum, as I said, we want to fix everything. But sometimes when someone is being vulnerable, you let them be vulnerable
Mhm.
and provide space and acknowledge, I'm so sorry we're going through that. I'm so sorry you're going through that right now. And that acknowledgement, that's all it takes because you can't fix it. And allowing that person to be vulnerable with zero expectation is so important because that's part of healing because
Yes.
that takes courage.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at serenity, God grant you what you can't change,
Yeah.
but then the courage to change the things you can, the courage to change, that's something that I can do. I can be vulnerable, which means that I am taking out all of that
Mhm.
and I'm not dumping. I am putting it out there, being honest, but with zero expectation. Only goodness will come back.
And would you then also say that it would then take for you as the person that has to share kind of almost a discernment of knowing, is this a safe space to
Yes, very much
actually
so.
express that?
That's exactly right. So it's like the conscious decision. Like
Mm,
I chose to put the Oscar winning performance on in hospital.
mm,
That was a choice. I did it for a reason
mm.
because I just wanted to get in and I wanted to
Get
get the hell
out.
out.
Yeah.
I really did, right? I literally got them to let me out days earlier than when I meant to
Yeah.
because knew what I was doing. It's my background. I know what I'm doing. I'm not being silly. Definitely. So in terms of the safety, you can acknowledge it. So my thing at the moment is, you know what? I am not okay, but I'm absolutely great. Does that make sense? Because sometimes things, I'm being honest, which things are a little bit up and down at the moment. And
Mhm.
the best way I describe it is at the moment, right? You and I, we're walking beside the pool and I get shoved in that pool of uncertainty, right? So I'm in there, bang, get in there, Bron.
Mm,
And not even having a choice to swim. You
mm.
either sink or you swim. So I'm starting to swim, right? Whereas you're walking on the side of the pool and you might have some things happening. And I know you've made some decisions in your world, right?
Yeah.
That's still the pool of uncertainty. The difference is you're walking there going, I might have a swim today. That
Mm,
pool looks pretty nice. Bron's in the pool. Can't be that. Must be nice if she's swimming.
yeah.
You see? So
Yeah.
it's same pool, different situation, but we're both being there as we truly are.
I love that analogy. And, and this leads right into another question I had, which is so great because of you speaking about your truth of how certain days you may feel a certain way. But what would you say has been the hardest part of accepting that your life is not the same as you may had thought it would have been at another point in time?
That is such a big question. My goodness. No one's ever asked me that before. That is an ongoing situation. There is
Mm.
no point in time because the grief ebbs and flows just like any trauma.
Yeah.
So just like what I'm finding, like the moment, I feel like it's a cape of heaviness. So the uncertainty, and it feels like a cape. It's like, would you just, and I want to be able to take the cape off, right?
Mhm.
But and that's where's my courage? How am I going to look after myself to be the human being and not the human doing?
Yes.
To just put that cape down.
Yeah.
Cape's not going anywhere. So grief, it comes in waves for me, and I allow the feels. That's one thing I will do. And like recently, I'm bawling my eyes out because of blood. Like worrying about a blood result that I didn't even have yet, which is so
Mm.
not what I say we should be doing, right? Do
Mm.
not project, do not ruminate because it's not healthy
Mm.
to the moment. Just be in the moment, be where your feet are, right? So I'm having this cry. My husband's, and he's trying to fix me.
Mm.
And I said, Paul, sweetheart, right now, just let me cry. I'm going to be fine in 10 minutes.
Mhm.
I need to allow this grief, this soulful grief,
Mhm.
to come up and come out and let it go. People used to say to me back in the day, pre-2018, oh, just got to let it go, Bron. I would let it go if I knew how to.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Do you think I want to know? So this is where I've learned is to just let it be,
Mhm.
which means accepting what I cannot change. If you want to have a good cry and feel the feels,
Yeah.
do that. But then look at the controllables.
I'm glad that you said that because I think that it's too far. Sometimes we don't allow ourselves to just sit in the space. And then I don't think that everyone knows how to allow us to just have that space. And
It's a good question.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like I think that
I do.
that's the biggest challenge is because with grief, some people and for anyone that's listening, we're not just talking about what people associate when we're talking about grief. We're not just talking about a cancer diagnosis. We're not just talking about losing a family member. Grief is different for different people, for different things that they had envisioned. And I don't think that we allow ourselves moments to, one, acknowledge that that's what we're feeling at that moment because of that relentlessness. Like, okay, because of the P word, like pivot. Oh, this thing got to keep changing. You got to keep changing. Got to turn, got to keep turning. Got to figure out this
Got to
other thing.
turn, got to turn.
You got to figure out this thing. So we're not even allowing ourselves to just sit in what's going on for us to feel and grieve whatever that is. But I do also feel that sometimes people want to fix instead of allowing us to just sit in that space and listen.
100%. And listen, right? To sit there in grief or to sit in sadness or
Mhm,
disappointment,
mhm,
call it whatever you will, to whatever something's that's happening in your world right now, is that when, like that old saying by Rumi, open the door, let it in,
mhm.
but make sure the door at the back's open so you're going to let it out.
Yeah.
So it's not holding on to that. So to me, if you want to hold on to it, that's where things fester. That's where
Yes.
things change. But what we're talking about here is feeling the feels. And that doesn't mean crying all day, every day, unless that is your thing right
Mhm.
now. But also understand that when you sit and when you allow that grief to come in, and it doesn't feel great, especially if in business or
Mhm.
in life. I have 5 sons and people go, oh my God, are we trying for the girl? Like I've got a girl dog and she's deaf. We're great. Thanks for asking. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
it's not normal or it's not the thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's more grief. It comes, and when the grief comes, and you'll know it,
Yeah.
because grief can turn into anger real fast, because then you get resentful and you blame everyone else around you. But
Yeah.
when you own that grief
Yeah.
and you sit and you feel it, and then what happens when you feel psychologically and you name it, when you name that grief or that feeling, it automatically puts like a separation between you and that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's the space. That's what I call that serenity now moment,
Mhm.
to allow space to, rather than find all the thousand solutions,
Yeah.
just to sit and let it be, because guess what? The right one will drop in just like that if you believe. I have this
Mhm.
saying, I know I will, I just don't know how.
Yeah. That's so good because, like, I feel like
That came from Kerry Chinner, by the way. She's the author of that.
but I think that that's great because I don't think that I feel from an outsider perspective that people try to rush through it in different formats. I remember one of my cousins, her mom passed away, and it was maybe coming up to a year up to, and she's like, Jesse, like, how did you get over it? There's certain things for me when I hear, I can tell if someone's not actually dealing with the grief. How long did it take? What?
It's not a book
Um,
and it's not a chapter.
and it's not a
You can't read
destination.
it and get over it. It's not a destination. It's a road that you never get off.
No.
You think I'm never going to stop grieving my mum? My God, I grieve my mum. I talk about my mum. My mum's been passed for, what is it, 3 years, 4 years?
Mm,
Should know. 2021.
no.
And I miss my mum. My mum ended up with dementia. I
Mm,
miss my mum
yeah.
before disease.
Yes.
And that doesn't change.
No.
So it's not a destination. We don't get over it.
No.
It's not like when I'm talking healing, right? It's not the word healed.
Mhm.
It's healing
Yeah, it's continuous.
because it never ends.
Yeah. And so when I said to my cousin, I was like, I went to a therapist. I go to therapy. Like, I'm like, not just sitting in a closet trying to wait for it to happen. Like, if it's going to a coach, going to a therapist, going to a professional, like, I feel that sometimes with grief, because we're not acknowledging it almost even extends the time period that we're in, that we're in the
100%.
heaviest part of it. So, through your experience, what are some things that helped you with dealing with the grief to actually move forward to be where you are today?
If there's one thing I do know is that you have to go through it.
Mhm.
Can't go around it. Can't go over it. Can't stay where you are. We can. It's all choice.
Yes.
For me, I work through it, and working through it changes day by day, week by week. And as I said before, I don't know how. And that's when I said my vision, my intention for the year is healing.
Mhm.
So I chose what was right for me. So in my place, let's just talk person. It's no different to building a company, right?
Mhm.
I'm the CEO of me. So when it comes to my treatment, the conversations, I'm an active participant in what I do. And then I have the things that I value. So my executive committee is a beautiful doctor from Brazil, of all places, a functional GP from Sydney, my GP, chiro, massage, journaling, all the things that are important to me. And then down the bottom are my specialists. So I'm an active participant. Everyone gets a vote, but I get the final say. And this is no different to starting a business, but you don't realize that because you're doing what everybody else does. But the difference is you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
right? You don't know it, in other
Yeah.
words. It's not like you're oblivious. You just simply don't know. And so you'll start searching. And so when I'm going through the grief, sometimes it can be scarier to go through it because it's like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to feel it.
Mhm.
But when you go through it, little tiny pieces, and yes, you may need professionals. I worked with a psychologist and an energy healer for 2 years,
Mhm.
grieving what I lost. To this day, I still grieve what I lost. But
Mhm.
it's not what I have learned is that the past is the past and the future is
Mhm.
the futures, and what I have now, what do I have today.
Yeah.
Where am I at today? So when you focus on the now, be where your feet are, it makes a huge difference because the ruminations and the anxiety and all of the things that come with projection and those, because that's what your brain does. It's
Yeah.
meant to. It's designed to keep you safe. It just doesn't know what to keep you safe from.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense, and I love that you use the word choice because I feel that when we're just going through the day, going from day after day, we can either just be allowing the day to move us, or we can be an active participant and make a choice as to, like, because even when we're dealing with grief, you can choose to be like, you know what, today I'm just going to feel that and I'm not going to do any work today. I'm just going to lay down, watch TV, eat ice cream. I'm going to go to a lake. I'm going to do something. Or you might be like, I may not be able to do that today, but I do acknowledge I feel this certain way, but I don't feel that people actually give themselves permission to choose. What they do is allow for themselves to be on autopilot without being
Yeah.
that driver.
Yeah. Agreed. So my tagline to the newsletter is that you can't put healing into your calendar. You just can't set it up. All right. But that's what a lot of systems will tell you to do is to
Uh-huh,
control the situation
uh-huh,
rather than just let it be. Right. So I know that of all the things that I find important for me, it's about 2 hours a day. Is it scheduled? No, but there's plenty of space. So what you're talking about, I think, is in work. If you're employed by someone, you go to work and you do the things,
uh-huh.
but it's space, the
Yeah.
space to adjust, be, process, and really find what's important to you. What is your soul's desire? What brings you joy?
Mm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean, moving to the Bahamas or building, going to Italy and fixing up a 300-year-old house,
Yeah.
because not everyone will be able to do that. But if you're finding that your world is full of stuff, and I mean full of stuff in your house, I call it the one thing. All right. So don't try to declutter the pantry or the linen cupboard. Just put one thing away.
Yeah.
Just one thing. Just do one thing. Just one thing. One thing that you would like to put away. That's it. Doesn't mean folding all the washing. It just means one thing. Because then the one thing becomes the next thing and the next thing. And then the momentum builds, which is when your brain physiologically turns on, because motivation is not a thing.
Yeah.
All right. People aren't lazy. People don't choose to be in these states of overwhelm. People don't choose to be in places of indecision. But if there's one thing you can do, you can choose what's next.
Do you find or do you feel that now that you've gone through these seasons and ebbs and flows, have you found joy in things that at one point, maybe because you were being relentless and just pushing through, that you weren't present to, or they have magnified now that you're in a different season as to like, okay, I really enjoy this. Like, I find joy in this because I feel that sometimes those things shift when we're going through different life unexpected turns and journeys.
Absolutely, because I wasn't present. I was physically there,
Mm,
but I was already on the next day, the next week, and all the things that Bron needed to do, because Bron had this business and Bron had the kids, and I got to get all this stuff organized.
yeah.
So I was never present.
Yeah.
My brain was not where my feet are.
Yeah.
So I do this every day, literally. And if I find myself drifting off, especially like I'm finding at the moment, because I've got uncertainty around and I'm in that pool,
Mhm.
I'm watching bloody reels. Bron, what are you watching all these reels for? How many homestead videos can you watch? And they go, that's it, right? No more reels for you today. But what I did, because I'm now present. Bron,
Yeah.
where's your feet? Well, here, I'm in Australia and I'm looking at my feet because I've got no shoes on. And okay, we're here. So yes, you're absolutely right. I will be so present,
Mhm.
present with the people I'm present talking to you and listening to you.
Yeah.
I'm present sitting with my dogs,
Yeah.
and I just sit with them for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
because I love my puppy dogs, and I look at I look at the trees, and people must think, "Oh God, she's an old tree lady." Shite, she's getting old. No, I'm appreciating nature. There is evidence around the importance of getting outside, even if you're on a balcony
Yeah.
and you live in a city full of, just get outside and feel where your feet are.
Yeah.
Cannot stress that enough. Do that, and do that consciously, and it'll just grow more and more.
That is so honest though, because with me through the journey I went through of my mom, I found water being peaceful for me. So when I would
Same.
have the days where I would feel heavy over, I mean, it was like over a 10-year process.
Mm,
And one of
it's
the
a long
things
time.
that I had to sit down with was like, okay, when I'm feeling anxious, and for me, like as a believer, like I was able to still feel the peace in those moments. And then I remember at the end of the journey with her, one day she wanted me to help her with doing something in in one of the extra bedrooms, and I was trying to work, and I was like, she's like, "Jesse, I really want your help to do da 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 da." And I was like, "Okay, just give me a few moments. I want to finish up on this." And she's like, "Jesse, I need you to realize I don't have extra moments." And at that moment, is like a light bulb
What a
for me.
les
It
Wow.
clicked for me, and ever since then, like, if I'm with family or I'm with friends, I try not to have my phone out. Like, when I'm with people, I try to be present, and I feel like going through that journey with her, it actually intensified my appreciation for every moment I have with anyone. Because you just never know in that one moment, and it was something that was
Exactly.
small. I mean, it was like hanging up a photo, it wasn't like something groundbreaking, but it was something that she needed of me to be present to, and that was something that I had to shift when it came to choosing how I wanted to be around the people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing, and I love that. You know, a funny thing, I say this thing which is make the moments count
Mhm.
because moments make memories,
Yes.
and that's where my saying comes in, which is make every day count.
Yes.
And it starts with a moment. And when you appreciate the moment, because that's where your feet are,
Mhm.
and you know, she knew she didn't have a lot of moments left.
Mhm.
And I honor your mum for her wisdom because if that's not the most beautiful lesson to teach her daughter, wow.
Yeah. And I think that thank you for that, and I think that when especially as we get over 40, like, I don't like that there's all of this negative connotation about, like, over the hill. For me, the way I
You're not over the
see
hill.
it, I know, like, but I think where I started to see it, especially when I did 39 going into 40, I was like, "You know what? I rather look at it as how do I want to intentionally live my life?" Like, I feel like because, like, in your 30s, you're just it's like, "Oh, it's so far away," and you can make some intentional decisions, but some people are better at it than others, but
Mm,
I
mm.
feel that at 40, I've been more present to what am I choosing day after day? What kind of person do I want to be with integrity? What kind of person do I want to be for my family? Like the people that I care about, my community. And I think that through even with your share, it's all about intention that
It
I want people to get from this conversation.
100%. It's about intention. And it's also around with those intention. There's a guy I follow. He's this fantastic guy who talks to women in their 40s.
Mhm.
And he says, just be consistently average, which means you don't have to do everything 10 out of 10, which means we're losing that whole control thing, which is the
Yeah.
to do list that's a mile long,
Yeah.
and filling every moment in your day, in your calendar, that you don't have room to move, to
Mhm.
be. And if there's one thing, is just when you start to look in and when you're looking at an intention is so more powerful than a goal
Yeah.
because we love to break it all down. You can break down a healing, you know, like for me, it's a path of healing.
Mhm.
And I liken it to being get out your phone and you get out, you know, get out the map,
Mm.
put in the destination of healing. There's a blue line. You just follow the line. Something happens, tragedy, adversity, good, bad, whatever. It's like a roadblock.
Mhm.
What does the map do? The map recalibrates.
Yep.
Rather than a goal that is set on quarter one and you're going to hit these targets,
Mm.
it recalibrates. But guess what? It never loses sight of where it's going. So when we focus on intention, it doesn't matter how or even when you get there.
Mm.
It's the fact that you are within your own, what is right for you,
Yeah.
based on you as a human
Mhm.
being, not a doing, human being,
Yeah.
I feel is very, very powerful. And we can change women over 40 because we've given our soul. If you know, you could be married, you have kids, or you might not,
Mhm.
but you've given up. And so when you hit that space, when I hit that age, as I said, I had the babe on the hip and I'm going, is this it? Is this it? What
Yeah.
the hell have I signed up for? And because I was so not fulfilled,
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't fulfilled. So if any of your listeners are feeling unfulfilled, get out that intention. One, just one intention, and everything in your life goes to you and your intention. The amazing goodness that can come through with that is just mind boggling.
I love that. And I want to dig into I mean, you've been giving some very practical tips throughout this share, but I want to, as we start coming to an end, is to really give some people some more insight on what they can even start doing today. So, like in your journey, what are some daily habits that you are trying to do to actually keep yourself in this emotional state and intentionally living out the day? To hit what you want and to still stay
Mm.
motivated.
Great question. So, one thing I do is I journal, right? So, back in the day, there was a book called The Artist's Way from the 90s, and she talked about morning pages.
Mm,
Write 3 pages, doesn't matter what you write, it's not a to do list, it's just writing whatever you want to write. And so, I have been consciously working on that since I think October,
okay.
and I number the days now. So, I've journaled 42 times since then, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's had a lot more days than that because before I know how has it been 5 days? What have I been doing these 5 days? Because I
Always.
lost focus on myself,
It
right?
always
But
like
I
that.
I give myself grace and compassion to go, Bron, we're gonna get to 100, even if it takes 2 years, we're gonna get to 100. So what I do with that, especially on the days when the cape is heavy, that
Mhm,
uncertainty cape is heavy, I'm writing. Just whatever comes to mind. I'm not fixing. I'm just writing whatever's in my head. It's not a to-do list, guys. It's not just it's about me.
mhm.
I consciously, because otherwise it'll automatically turn it into, like, if it is business, right, or work, make it I feel
Yeah.
statements. So it's making it about me. So I journal, and that is a game changer in the morning.
Mhm,
When you start your day with that 10 minutes of your time, that's being where your feet are, right there. And I can keep coming back to that. So when moments happen
mhm.
throughout the day, I make sure that I'm looking at the next play. So
Yeah.
imagine you and I playing basketball, and we're playing and we missed the shot, right? We sucked at it, man.
Mm,
We could either go in our huddle with our coach and we can talk about what happened, or we can talk about the next play. We go the next play.
yeah.
So when you're talking to yourself, please be mindful how you're talking to yourself and not bashing yourself up if you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
But go, cool, thank you, thank you. We're going to stay present. What's the next play? The next play could be something practical.
Mhm.
It could be something I really need to just chill out here because I'm angry or whatever. Well, anger is a siding of sadness. So,
Yeah.
especially with triggers, that's one thing I'm really working on is triggers. If you get triggered,
Mhm.
be curious. Imagine you got the mirror up. I'm curious. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
And it's going to be something that you're playing out that you don't even know you're doing.
Have you noticed? So I'm curious about, I'm glad you mentioned about triggers. So one of the things I have realized that after that experience, one of my triggers is if I keep myself busy, it actually triggers the anxiousness. It actually starts to get me to backslide. So that's why I've had to be more present to saying no to things
Yes.
and allowing me to have space because I find that the ability before to ignore my mental health and how I felt, I was able to kind of like push it to the side. But now, like if I do even try to do that, then I'm spiraling. So do you find that that's similar for you when you are getting triggered?
Absolutely. So at the point of a trigger, I'm now teaching myself, because it's forever healing,
Mhm.
that I pause. I want to pause and reflect. What am I learning here? What, like the incident of the woman who completely disregarded me when I really was so proud of myself
For being
for being
honest. Yeah.
vulnerable in a really positive way. I was being honest and truthful and vulnerable. And I did not expect the response.
Mhm.
So the trigger, I could have gone, that,
Mhm.
what a so and so she is, and how dare she, and there, right? But I
Yeah.
didn't. I had a choice. I literally consciously chose in that moment to go, let's dig deeper here, get curious. And the curious, I realized as I'm hopping in the car, was expectation. So then I looked at, okay, I've literally got an expectation. So with a trigger, there's a lesson. My dear friend Kerry, she calls it the honey. She said there's always a beautiful place for the honey, for the hummingbird to come and get
Yeah.
the honey and the lesson. If you choose to be the hummingbird,
Yeah.
or you can be the snake. And I don't know all the archetypes. She's the guru, not me. And what it does is you're responsible for your behavior to the thing. And that would be if someone to do something today, which is just take a moment to pause. For a trigger, don't fix it. Just pause and be curious with yourself, which
Yeah.
is not easy, let me tell you.
I know. Sometimes you're like, I just want to act and react.
Well, you want to react and you go, you know what, you can go and blah, 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 which is do
Yes.
it. But this is where you write it down,
Yeah.
burn it and send it out there. And you know what, whatever your beliefs are, they will fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's taking responsibility for your behavior to an incident that you were part of. You're not responsible.
Yeah.
100% not responsible. But there's a lesson, find the honey.
Yes, I love that. And so, like, what advice would you give to a woman listening right now who may be feeling a little lost due to whatever disruption they're currently experiencing?
And that's really tough. And if you are feeling that, I'm really feeling you and I'm sorry you're going through that because it's really, really tough to be in that state and feeling. Been there myself many times. That's where we want to look at just allowing yourself to be. And that's where I would do the one thing. I'd literally go and do something so mundane, which is put the book back in the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Put the rubbish out. Just something, I know it's mundane. You've got stuff on your kitchen table, on your bed. You know, everyone's got one of those cupboards or those drawers or those benches. You know those benches everyone has in
Yeah.
their houses with just crap on it?
Yep.
Go grab one of the things and put it away and breathe it through, right? Literally in for 4, out for 6 is the most amazing and powerful thing to bring you back to being present. Literally breathe it because that state of overwhelm may not be procrastination. You haven't done anything wrong. It is potentially your body saying, hey, love, hey, darling, just take a moment. Take a moment for yourself. The world will not explode. The children will not die. It's going to be okay. And just breathe through it and then allow the thoughts of, cool, what's really that? What will bring me joy? For you, looking at water. For me, sitting with my dog. What's going to bring you joy for the moment? It's a serenity now. It's not a whole day. It's not a whole year because all we have is the what's next.
Yeah. And that leads perfectly into my last question that I have for you. So, with where you are right now and the version of you that you are existing in, what's the thing that's getting you the most excited about whom you're becoming?
Question, because it's funny, I look back and I look at, well, that's the old Bron. So, because I feel so different to the person that I was. And I look different, remembering this hair isn't the hair that I had for 40 years of my life. So it's exciting that what I think the most exciting part is that it's the demonstration for myself that it's like having a rock and you throw it into a pond and you watch the ripples. You don't know where the ripples are going to go. I feel for the most exciting part because I do question why the hell I'm doing what I'm doing with Serenity Project. I do. And it's the fact that I get really excited when I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a ripple effect and I don't know where. I feel that I'm doing the best for me in this lifetime with this life. And it's very much a work in progress.
Yeah.
And remembering I'm in the pool of uncertainty and, you know, when the doctors talk about, well, you know, Bron, it's not quite progression yet. Stop that, Rod. It's not. It either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It either is or it isn't. Please stop talking like that. So therefore, I choose that I'm excited that I'm getting to be me. And I'm loud and I can be annoying. You know what I mean? So my kids will go, oh my God, Mum, you're so annoying. But I'm loud and I have a lot of energy. And I used to hide that.
Oh,
So,
I'm
yeah.
super grateful for you. I would love for you to share with the audience, like how they can learn more about you, the services, and how to connect with you.
Well, I think as I was saying earlier before we hit record, it's all about the collaboration because
Yeah.
if we can create awareness for people to be aware that there is so much on offer if you choose
Yeah.
and set an intention. So the best place is just go to find me on socials, of course, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn. Please reach out. More than happy to connect. And just go to serenityproject.com.au. Yes, it's skewed for cancer. Of course. Is it relevant to everyone? Yes, of course, because we all are in that space in some way or capacity, right? Dealing
Yes.
with adversity. There's a community coming, but that's not really this whole point. My point here is we're collaborating with, you know, women who are over 40
Hmm.
and have so much to bring. I don't care whether you're 40 or 80. Doesn't matter your age. As I said, it truly inspires me when I see these entrepreneurial women in their 70s. Like, wow,
Mm.
wow, I want to be like them. One, I want to be alive. Two,
Yeah.
I want to be like them.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the thing. Just reach out. And on the website, Serenity Project, I do have a way you can leave messages. So you can either voice record it or type it.
Hmm.
And we respond to every single one of those. Because it's really just about how can we work together
Hmm.
to, get people doing what they really, 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 really want to, who they want to be and what they want to do.
Yes, I love this. This has been such a great conversation because I feel that even though someone may not resonate with the current challenge you may be going through, we all are going through something. And it's just that we don't always have that open space to hear about it. Like, for some people, they're in the sandwich era where they have kids and then they're dealing with their parents that still are acting like kids. So you're having to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing to take care of themselves, or you might be
Mm,
changing your career. Like we all have something that it's requiring this new version of ourselves or the
yeah.
version of ourselves that we've been suppressing. Because that's the part about it too, is that some of us have been suppressing like what we're really passionate about, what we've really been wanting to do because we've been taking care of everyone else. So I think this disruption doesn't have to be what sometimes people assume it is. You can be experiencing disruption right now just because you realize you've been working a job for the last 30 years and you are
Yep.
over it.
And you know what? And if you are not in line with your soul,
Yeah.
you're going to be getting knocks. As I said, please, 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 if you're getting that feather knock, please wake up. You don't want a brick.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And adversity comes in all shapes and sizes. So
Yeah.
if I could go back to my 40-year-old self, I would have started with what brings you joy, Bron, what lights your soul, what lights your fire,
Mhm.
not what everyone else is doing, and certainly not what's on social media.
Yeah.
And remember, I run a marketing agency. I'm allowed to say that.
Exactly. Well, thank you so very much for being a guest today. It's been such a helpful and insightful conversation, and I appreciate your vulnerability to share with the audience and as well as with myself about your journey and your path.
Thank you, Jessie. It's been great. Thank you.
If there's one thing that I hope you took out of this conversation today, disruption does not mean that your story is at an end. It's the beginning that you're looking to rebuild and how you view it. And rebuilding doesn't mean getting back to who you were. It's an opportunity to go in a direction in which you truly are desiring. It can be someone wiser, more motivated, or just someone who's more grounded in your truths. And even though some of us may feel as if we're going through this journey alone, I understand and I see you. So if this episode has resonated with you, share it with another woman who needs to hear this encouraging story in this specific season of life. And don't forget to subscribe to the Life Over 40 newsletter by using the show notes below. Until next time, you're not behind, you're rebuilding.